Hey guys, it's Matt here, and I'm doing another Matt Rants for you guys. I'm going to try and keep these a little bit shorter than the last one that I did, but also going to try and do them a little bit more often. Also mixing in some Q&As, which if you guys have any questions, please either ask them in the comments below or you can email us as well. You have our email if you go on our YouTube channel and kind of check in the business inquiry section, or you can actually either tweet them at us at Those Guys Radio, or go over to our Patreon and send some suggestions our way there as well. Patreon being patreon.com/TG Productions. But this Matt Rants, is about one question that was asked by fellow YouTuber Vishtix in the comments section for our last video. And he also talked about maybe doing a hard mode about it, which hard mode is something that I definitely haven't done in a while. I definitely want to get back to, but those require a lot more editing, a lot more video of me standing, a few more stats here and there. So I have to, Google some stats here. But when doing this here, I can kind of just do a bit more riffing and just talk about, just my thoughts on whatever topic it is. So, anyway, what are we talking about today? Well, I mean, obviously, if you check the title of the video, you know what we're talking about. What we're talking about is Vishtik said, hey, would you be able to talk about the new YouTube monetization policy changes and how that affects us? Because, of course, Vishtik's a fellow YouTuber, similar subscriber count to ours, and noticed that he's been doing Pokemon Brown and also recently Monster Hunter. So looking at, before we even talk about how this will affect us, because some of you might not know much about these YouTube adpocalypses, as they've been calling them, or about these YouTube monetization changes. Now, it kind of took YouTube by storm, and people were talking about it and how much money they might be losing, how much money they might not be able to make in the future, and stuff like that. Before we get into that, let's talk about the why, or rather, just how it dropped. So basically, many of us, I think, yeah, everyone in the YouTube monetization program, which at one point, so basically a long time ago, it was very hard to be in the YouTube monetization program. You had to meet certain requirements, subscriber wise and watch time wise, or at least viewer wise, actually, not watch time. It was based on viewers. That eventually changed, which is something that I enjoyed. And because of that change, a lot of people who started, trying to make it on YouTube and trying to get money through YouTube via, of course, putting in the work to do so, but trying to get that money on YouTube, they obviously immediately turned on monetization. And, I wouldn't say that that's the reason why YouTube has been changing their policies, but there definitely has been a lot of people flocking to YouTube. And I think the problem isn't that everyone's flocking, although maybe YouTube feels that it is the problem, but I don't think that's the big reason why they've started to make changes here and there. I think it's because of the wrong kind of people flocking. So, what do I mean by the wrong kind of people? Well, based on recently, I'm sure even people who aren't really listening or watching much YouTube do know about the Logan Paul situation. The Logan Paul situation actually was so big that, I mean, there were jokes about it on SNL, or about him personally at his expense on SNL, and there were even there was some kind of interview that seemed like it was trying to set up some terrible redemption story on, I believe it was on Good Morning America. So, where he was actually on, Logan Paul was actually on Good Morning America after what he did. So, now is he the only reason? Again, not the only reason, but because, funnily enough, people were blaming him directly or blaming PewDiePie directly. And believe me, if any of you guys have been longtime viewers of the channel, you know how I feel about some of the stuff that PewDiePie has done recently. You can see all that on our episodes of Hard Mode that I've done. But when it comes to, are those two specific YouTubers to blame for what's happened recently? Well, with PewDiePie's issue with, the potentially anti-Semitic jokes, the definitely when he said the N-word, those were not good things. And if any of you want to defend it, well, you can defend it to me all you want to, but you're gonna have to defend it to the advertisers who pay money to YouTube to put their ads on videos. So I'm pretty sure they don't want their Coca-Cola ads or anything like that in front of anti-Semitic rhetoric, even if it's considered a joke and it's not considered as true beliefs. Still, not big fans of that on a channel that usually consists of edgy content, but usually edgy in relation to gaming. So, but again, is it PewDiePie's fault? Is it Logan Paul's fault? Well, here's the thing. So, with the recent change that basically made it so that you had to have over 4,000 hours of watch time, and I believe it was 1,000 subscribers minimum, is that Logan Paul's fault? Well, it came out, the email came out, I believe it was a week or two, it's less than a month after the Logan Paul situation. Now, all of us know how slow YouTube is in reacting to any issue, and I mean any issue, that is placed in front of it. I mean, we saw how long it took for them to even comment on the Logan Paul situation itself. So they're not going to immediately draft up this new change just based on Logan Paul. I can assure everyone, though, at least this is my opinion, obviously all of this is in a way, but I can assure you all that his actions, and if you don't know what Logan Paul did, I'll explain that in a second. His actions did not help. I'll definitely say that much. His actions didn't make YouTube rethink what they were doing. And again, what he did, if any of you don't know, Logan Paul filmed a dead body in Japan's quote-unquote suicide forest, which sadly is named that because people go there to commit suicide. They will be depressed due to whatever it might be, social pressures, relationship pressures, whatever the pressures might be, if they're related to work or studying, and these are people of all ages who will go into the forest to end their life. And this isn't some secret. You can Google this. There's a lot of information on this. And Paul knew it before going into the forest, and was basically going there with his camera with intent to film. And it started off, from what I've heard and seen little bits of, it started off as a kind of, oh, what if there's going to be ghosts in there? Which that seemingly is disrespectful by itself. But then they ended up finding the dead body. They obviously, I believe they did blur it out, but it still doesn't change the fact that they filmed the body. And even if you film the body and then left that on the cutting room floor, okay, right? It can happen. Mistakes can happen. But the thing is, they veered off the path that there's all these signs in Japanese. Of course, Logan Paul doesn't read Japanese, but the tour guide they had did. So I'm not going to put it past the tour guide to say, hey, those signs say don't go off the path. I don't know if Logan Paul said himself that, hey, we've been warned not to go off the path, because the problem with going off the path is that some people who want to end their lives go off the path, rethink things, and they can't get back on the path because they're so lost in the forest. So it's just become there's a bunch of signs around saying, hey, don't get off the path. You might find a body. And they went off the path. And then they found a body. And then it was kept in the video. And him and some of his friends were chuckling while they found the body. And it was monetized. And so he was making money off that. And then the monetization was removed, but the video wasn't, and he removed it himself. So as you can tell, there's a lot going on here, right? There's a lot going on there. And it was just so much that obviously advertisers were not happy about that. And again, YouTube, I would imagine, already, had this new monetization policy drafted, but they did add a little something in there in regards to Logan Paul. I don't remember what the exact wording was, but it wasn't obviously directly calling him out. But so here's the thing, right? Why are all of us mad about the new change in policy? Because I'm sure there are people out there that say, oh, you're just mad because you just want to make money, you just want to freeload, you don't want to put in work. Well, here's the thing, okay? Before I even talk about how it can affect us, I just want to tell you guys, and I know it's going to seem extremely biased because it's coming from a YouTuber, but I do have to tell you, though, we put work into this stuff. We do. And if you say, oh, well, you don't deserve to make any money, well, again, that's your opinion. You're allowed to say that. But the thing is that we're not charging directly for this content. YouTube allows us to put ads on our content. So, for the longest time, when they opened it up to everyone, that's what some people were doing. And some people were, if they became popular rather quickly, they made a lot of money. And if you didn't become popular rather quickly, well, then you technically didn't make a lot of money anyway. And by the way, this, even though I bring on other hosts to do, a bunch of different either episodes or skits or whatever we do, I'm the one editing everything at the end of the day. I don't have the money to pay someone $40 per video, $20 per video to actually edit these things down, and then I'm the one encoding them as well. So essentially, I'm just constantly editing and coding, and it's not like we just have the one channel either. This is coming out on Those Guys Play. We have Those Guys on the Radio and TG Productions as well. So in no way is this just a simple point and click kind of situation where it's just point the camera at me, let me just talk into the mic, and then everything just immediately goes online. Not in any way putting down live streamers or people who do live content, because of course some people edit down their stuff as well, and of course you have to have a good computer to do that stuff live, and you still have to be an entertainer to play that, or to play video games live, or to do whatever it is you might do on YouTube live, or obviously on Twitch or any other platform as well. But this isn't simple, right? So, but back to, the policy change. That's kind of why it shook some people when YouTube recently did a few different changes. So basically, recently they said, hey, you are going to have to get your channel up to, I believe it was 10,000 page views. And a lot of people were thinking, oh, well, okay, I can do that. I mean, I thought we could, because we were actually getting there really soon. And then out of nowhere, and I don't know why they were so close to each other. Maybe the Logan Paul situation did make YouTube want to release their new press release sooner rather than later. But, because I don't think it affected them drafting it, but maybe it affected them releasing it. Because immediately, literally maybe a month or two after YouTube said, hey, here's, basically you need 10,000 page views to stay monetized, then all of a sudden it became the 4,000 hours of watch time and the 1,000 subscribers minimum. So that was very frustrating to a lot of people, to a lot of creators, because, sometimes you get 1 million views, but you don't really have that audience retention for every single video. Sometimes you're not, you're an animator, so you're not able to put out daily content, because that's the thing with YouTube's algorithms. They focus on higher watch time, and they also focus on multiple releases, because YouTube wants to make sure that you are a channel that is continuously coming back to give them content, because obviously we're giving content to the fans as well. Obviously us uploading stuff is a stress on YouTube's servers. However, YouTube, while obviously they don't want, we don't want to, or rather YouTube doesn't want to have their servers stressed by having everyone upload every single cat video. To be fair, if your cat videos are 10-minute compilations where people, and you release them on a daily video where people love to see your cat, and you're putting ads on there, YouTube's gonna pretty much be happy with your cat videos. Again, as long as the watch time, well, obviously when I talk about watch time, it's not just how long something is, it's also how long someone is watching. So if you say best dog videos and it's a cat video and someone tunes out at 10 seconds, YouTube is not going to push you heavily for that. And I don't mean push you heavily as in send out emails saying go watch this cat channel. It's more so just an algorithm thing that end up showing up on people's not so much on trending, but it's the basically on your main page where it says you might like this, or in related videos and stuff like that. So why are we so pissed? Well, we're upset because, like I mentioned earlier, if if you're not getting audience retention every single time, but you're still getting a lot of views depending on what video you do, maybe, you get more subscribers, but doesn't necessarily translate to more viewers or to more watch time. Not so much people don't like your content, it's just that maybe you put out one 5-minute video a week, or you put out 3 5-minute videos a week. Well, even if people are constantly watching those, that's still only 15 minutes a week. And again, does your subscriber count match your watch time count? So it really, took the internet by storm, because there's been a bunch of different adpocalypses recently. Again, people blamed Logan Paul, people blamed PewDiePie. Didn't realize that there's also, sadly, some YouTubers kind of in the middle fame, bigger than myself, but not so much at that PewDiePie, Logan Paul level. I'm not going to name names because I don't want them to get any kind of exposure. I'll just name the scenarios real quick. The first scenario was, sadly, there was a duo, boyfriend girlfriend YouTubers, and the girlfriend was very reluctant in doing this kind of. It wasn't a prank. It was but it was a demonstration, I guess you want to call it that. And what the boyfriend said was he apparently tested this out already off camera. It would have probably been best to, and I don't mean this as a joke, to upload the film the test version. Because what happened was the test version was shoot this book at my chest. I will hold the book up to my chest, shoot the book, and I can assure you, sweetie, so I'm sure what he said to his girlfriend, it will not go through the book. I already tested it. It didn't go through the book. Now, she shot him, and it went through the book. And he bled out, and sadly, he passed away. And I don't know if they had a kid together. Either way, in a sense, it's irrelevant because it's still the loss of life, regardless of adding in that other element of tragedy. Both of them were very young, younger than myself, 19 and 20, I believe, or 19 and 21. And now she has to deal with potential jail time over this situation. And before anyone, tries to get on her case, this part was filmed. It was in front of neighbors. It was outside, so it's not some kind of potential domestic abuse situation. But it still resulted in him losing his life regardless. And there were ads on that video. And even if there would have been ads, I believe, because I don't believe the video actually went live for obvious reasons. But the point is that people in the community knew they wanted to be YouTube stars. And she said on I assume for the police report, yeah, we did this for YouTube. So that does not look good for YouTube. And even though we might, take a shot at some of these ad companies saying, well, it's just one YouTuber, still, it's the same thing that happens with, depending on the channel, maybe it's a news network, maybe it's something else. When someone on the channel or working as an on-screen personality on the channel does something wrong, it reflects badly on the whole channel, at least when it comes to advertisers and things like that. So I know it might seem silly to some because obviously YouTube has a large number of personalities. So it is very hard to say we blame this one. By blaming this one, we blame the entire community. But again, it's large corporations with their ad money. So that is what it is, and that's the first situation. The other one that happened was another couple duo, but this was a mother and father of 5 children, and they quote unquote pranked their kids. And I use quote unquote because these weren't like, oh, let's put down a whoopee cushion or something like that. This was stuff like they would buy them an iPad or a new Xbox. They would break it in front of them and then berate the child. Who, by the way, the child, I use that term not loosely, 7, 8, 9 years old. These weren't adults who you could argue, you're messing with your, I'm 25. If my parents try to do a prank on me or something like that, I would be upset, but it would in no way, I mean, obviously it depends on the prank, I guess, but it would in no way be as scarring as a prank on a 7-year-old, breaking that item and then starting to yell at them. I mean, I remember hearing that some of these videos had them saying things like, we're going to take you back, we're going to, get you, take you to the orphanage and stuff like that, and we're going to leave you somewhere where, we don't love you and things like that. And even at the end when they're like, oh, no, it's a prank, we were just kidding, it's kind of like, wait, actually, parents, fuck you. And thankfully, their kids were taken away from them. And by the way, these kids also on camera were caught crying during these situations. And I got to be honest, I saw a small clip. These do not look. These have to be the best child actors ever if this was completely faked. and the kids were in on the joke. So that's the issue there, is that the kids were not in on the joke. The parents filmed all of this, and they seemingly were getting a lot of money through ad revenue because they were getting hundreds of thousands of views. So situations like that, not just, and those, by the way, those situations happened, I think, after the first adpocalypse. So, these things all add up, and it's frustrating, but they do. Also, I assume YouTube obviously was also trying to go after people who steal other people's content and try to re-upload it and monetize it, which might seem like it's something that doesn't happen, but because it might seem crazy, especially when you're so low on the YouTube food chain, like myself. You think, wait, someone would take our content and steal it and try to re-upload, and that's the sad thing, is they would. Is that either they would, for some of these bigger YouTubers, they would either take their content and literally just download the YouTube video and maybe translate it to a different language, like dub it over, which if anyone wants to do that with our channel, you can talk to us about it and we'll license that footage out to you, right? If you want to dub it over in Spanish, in German, in French, please talk to us. We'll license out some of our footage. We would love to open ourselves up to other markets. But when you don't ask and you just download it, re-upload it, and try to throw ads up, that becomes a problem. Another thing, of course, people were taking, and I say of course because it's frustrating, but it will happen. People were taking other scripts, so others' game reviews. They would just copy paste their script. They would obviously change it to another language, so it would be, a Spanish review or something like that. And they would just copy the whole thing verbatim. And the game footage wouldn't be their own game footage. It would be the original, quote unquote, original game footage from the reviewer, from the original reviewer that they were stealing it from. So a lot of these problematic channels, I think YouTube just thought, well, we have to find a way to purge them. We have to find a way to get people who are just doing this for YouTube fame off of the platform, because they want people who are doing this not just try to take an easy route that could potentially hurt them and others. They want it to be through hard work and through cheers and smiles and nothing violent on YouTube. Although that's a different discussion, I guess. So that is basically the history behind everything. Let's get to whether or not this is going to affect us personally as those guys on the radio, and in general for the smaller YouTuber. Will this affect you? First off, I don't know your personal finances. I don't know your ad revenue rate compared to how many views you were getting. And also, I don't know your subscriber count, because obviously there are hundreds of thousands of people that might be listening to this right now. If so, hello, that's new. Hundreds of thousands of people watching this or listening to this. So I don't know your personal situation, but I know ours. And personally, we have under 100 subscribers for our Those Guys Play YouTube channel. We have over 100 for our Those Guys on the Radio channel, and we have under 100 for TG Productions. We had ads on Those Guys on the Radio and Those Guys Play. Those Guys Play for a bit. Those Guys on the Radio up until the ad change, the recent ad revenue policy, which ended up taking us down because we didn't have the watch time. We had the page count, we just didn't have the watch time, and we also didn't have the subscribers, obviously under 1,000. So does it affect us personally? Well, I gotta be honest with you guys, it doesn't. Now, if we're talking about this just from a money perspective, just from a making money through the ads, does not affect us at all. I can't give you the exact rate that we were making because that's against YouTube's ad policies. I'll just tell you this much. The reason why I've talked about, and I obviously not even complained about the Nintendo's own personal monetization program. I know a lot of YouTubers were against it when it first came out. They thought, why does Nintendo need to stick their hands in our pockets? And I'm sure for bigger YouTubers, it was Nintendo sticking their hand into their pocket because of how much they were making beforehand without Nintendo saying no to everything or no to certain things. So I do get that. For us, though, as new YouTubers, I made more money through Nintendo's personal monetization program than I did through YouTube itself. Because if any of you don't know, YouTube will only give you the money that's owed to you if it reaches up to $100. And I made nowhere near $100 just from putting ads on my either my gaming content or on even my podcast content, and that has gotten a lot of views, at least for the reviews. Maybe not Clone Corner. It's actually picking up steam, which is nice. Which is kind of an anime, general video game manga news show. We upload daily clips, and thankfully it's picking up a little bit. But in terms of our reviews, a lot of views, some watch time, but we have not made $100 for the payout. The most money I've ever gotten, like I said, which by the way was less than $10, but was still the most money I ever made through our Those Guys Play account, was only through the Nintendo's monetization program. So YouTube, it might seem like, depending on what level you're at, it might seem like you're going to be losing a lot of money because of this. And honestly, again, if you were getting millions of views, but you only had 500 subscribers, yeah, it's going to affect you. And I'm very sorry that this is affecting you this way, for people who are being complete pieces of human garbage, or, in some tragic situations that, that this is affecting you personally. But when it comes to myself, because again, the question was, how is it affecting you? When it comes to me, it's actually not affecting me one bit when it comes to money. However, before people say that I'm defending Big Daddy YouTube, I want to mention that if you don't know, the YouTube algorithm obviously prefers monetized content. Why? Obviously, because YouTube wants to make money. So YouTube will basically, its algorithm will push monetized content more than content that is not monetized. So personally, that will hurt me in the long run, not because of money, but because of exposure. Because I would say that every YouTuber, some people might think every YouTuber wants money, wants all these riches and all this fame. Really, when it comes to in my opinion anyway, the standard YouTuber, the common YouTuber, it's about two things. It's about exposure, and it's about making back the costs that you put into this channel. Maybe for some of them, which I do think this isn't a bad thing. So, three things. The third is obviously making a living, right? Just making a nice living, being able to live off of doing YouTube, not make millions and millions and millions of dollars. No, just being able to say, hey, I have a rent that I can pay through YouTube. Now, when it comes to the whole exposure thing, the reason why that's important is because really, and I've seen a lot of different motivational YouTubers talk about this, like Roberto Blake and some others that sadly are not, Tim Schmoyer and Think Media as well, talk about diversifying your revenue streams. So basically going to avenues like Patreon, like selling t-shirts, maybe opening up Etsy shops and things like that. Also, being able to take your skills as an editor, because I assume you're editing your own videos, take those skills and go to freelancing and things like that. And the reason why you want to do that is because YouTube alone cannot make you a steady revenue stream. Because guess what? Tomorrow, and it would be terrible if this happened, but tomorrow YouTube can say, you know what? No gaming content can be monetized. And immediately, PewDiePie will be going from the most known person on YouTube to not that at all. Again, right, sure, he has a lot of content, sure, he has his own subscribers, of course, but it's all about gaining new subscribers, obviously. Even at his level, it's all about getting new subscribers. And how could he gain new subscribers if his videos are not going to be in the preferred YouTube algorithm? Even if they're watched a lot, they still wouldn't be making YouTube any money whatsoever. And also another issue as well is that he would be looking for other ways to make more money, and I don't know where he would go from that, but it wouldn't be through gaming, because again, if YouTube, it's hypothetical, tomorrow said no gaming videos can be monetized at all, that would be a huge hit to those that are making gaming videos of any kind on YouTube. So so basically, for me personally, this is not affecting me at all. I never made the 100 to get the payout ever on any of the channels. And most of my revenue that I've made is actually through Patreon, and it's still very small. So personally, I don't believe that this has affected me. But I also do see that when it comes to, again, certain things that are in the algorithm, that will definitely affect me in the future, because again, that exposure, that ability to kind of build your brand, build your business, build your online presence, it's really hard to do when you don't have a lot of cash in the bank, and when you're trying to do everything you can to use YouTube's algorithm to your advantage. But the only thing that, not the only thing, but one of the things that might be stopping you is something that is completely out of your control. Something that just a week prior, just a month prior, just 2 months prior, you were on YouTube's good side. And also another thing too, I want to mention, another reason why some of you might, I assume at this point you understand why everyone is very upset with YouTube. I would imagine. But if you don't know why, maybe some people are also a little frustrated. Their email, if you looked at their email already as I'm talking about this, or if you've seen it in the past, their email, they basically said, "Hey, here are our new changes." They made it seem like we were the ones that were going to benefit from it. And unless people who were fame hungry left in droves, which could happen, but still, unless they left, we weren't really gonna be helped. Uh, when there are YouTubers who were making good money, who, because of some technicality, or because maybe they're animators, so their watch time didn't really matter as much as what their videos actually being watched. When they're being pushed out of this monetization program, and then someone like Logan Paul, who he took the video down, the Suicide Forest video. Obviously he's not going to make money off that video in particular, and also, or any video like that if you try to re-upload it. But he recently made a video where I believe he tasered a dead rat. And that was finally the last straw for YouTube, where they took away his monetization privileges, I think for a month or something like that. But the issue is that before that video, he was still making money off of all of his other videos, even though there was some issues with some of his other videos of him being in Japan. So even though he did that, he was still making this money, while people like myself couldn't. Now again, personally, I was not making much money. I really wasn't. But it's still, again, about being discovered. That's the first thing that I mentioned earlier, and it really matters, that discovery. And of course, when it comes to making money back, it was not free to buy the camera. It was not free to buy the light stand. It was not free to buy this microphone that I'm currently using. Now, of course, you can say those costs are on me, and I agree. That's why I paid for them. But again, one of the goals, I think, of many YouTubers is to, at the very least, make back what money you put into this YouTube channel. And again, if that's not met, then that's also problematic. And of course, the third one, being able to, have a make a living off this. If you don't believe in that, that's okay. But just know that some of your favorite YouTubers, either they make a living off this, which allows them to create the free content that they put out, the very well-made free content, or they don't make a living off this, but if they were to work the 2-3 jobs that they need to make a living, then it would mean less YouTube time, and it would mean less entertainment for you. So at the end of the day, it's you getting shot in the foot if you like them, not necessarily your YouTuber. They're making money either way. But yeah, so I think I'll be done with this Matt rant. I don't know how long this is going to be. I'll have to check. Maybe edit this down a little bit in post. I don't know. But I want to thank you so much, Vishtix, for your question. I want to thank you all so much for listening in. either if you're listening to this through our YouTube channel, or potentially you're listening to this through our Those Guys on the Radio Blog Talk Radio channel, because I'll be uploading this as well as just simple audio. Now, again, thank you all so much for listening. I can go on about this for a very long time, but I kind of extended it just because I wanted to make sure that there was no barrier of entry needed. But if you have any questions about the YouTube ad policy, or how it affects me, or how I could affect you, please comment below. If you want to talk to me about how it's affected you, please comment in the YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment in the comment section below. Talk to me about it. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear how it's affected you, because again, I can just tell you 100%, it. And I don't mean to sound cavalier. I don't mean to sound very nonchalant about this, because I really do care about having our videos seen and having people, comment and critique and learning from the community. When it comes to money, I could be making less, arguably. I am paying out of pocket for stuff, but I could be making less, I guess. I'm in the negatives when I pay out of pocket for things, but in no way was I making so much money that this is a true hurt to my wallet. But again, I'm sorry if it was to yours, and comment below if it was. Thank you all so much. Love you guys. Take care. Please ask more questions in the future. Love to do some more rants, and I'll see you guys. So, see ya.